Hey y'all, my name is Luke. I make bags, but today I'm here on the boat, and unfortunately we really do have to sell this project. We're in debt. It's taken a lot longer to get to where it is now, and there's still quite a ways to go. So if you're looking for basically a starter kit on a fast carbon cruiser, this might be it for you. So it was built in 1995 for about $440,000. That's not inflation adjusted, and I've been working on it. So here is a little tour of what you'd be getting. So starting off at the bow, the anchor locker is ready to reconfigure into whatever way you see fit. You know, you could put some platform in here with a windlass anchor roller. And the top sides do look different than the last time I did one of these videos. I put a lot of time and effort into laying up a couple layers of carbon over the whole thing. So what it needs is a last fairing pass, and then it'll be ready for non-skid and reinstalling all the hardware. The holes for where the original like redirection of halyards and lines and stuff are still visible from the underside, so you could re-drill those holes. And all the spots that did have blocks, I put wrench shape plugs in there. So any areas that had wet balsa core, I replaced with Divinycell, which the hull of the boat is made with carbon and Divinycell, so no worries there. Really fancy construction method by Westerly in California in the late 90s. And this is hull number 2 of 2, so the only other one is owned by the designer, Alan Andrews, and he still sails it with his wife out of Southern California. So here's the cockpit. We added more room. This used to go here, but we added that so there's more space in the cabin. There's still tons of room in the cockpit, and I added these 2 cockpit pockets on either side for winch handles, whatnot. And I added this these 2 lockers here. This one is for propane, so there's spots for 2 tanks, and then there's a solid carbon drain plug in the back there for any leaky gas. And then this little locker here I had envisioned to be the backside of the hydraulic control panel for the backstay. And we are working on replacing the floor. You can kind of see the mold for making that part down there. So it's going to be a perfect new floor installation that'll be included with the boat. So coming down the companionway here, 3 steps, and the engine is under there. But you can see the galley here where the stove goes, and I obviously have all the drawers and cabinet faces, the freezer section there, fridge section here. And these floorboards are loud because I made them out of plywood, so made copies of the original carbon fiber floorboards, which have been in storage this whole time, so they obviously come with it. So the only floorboard that would need to be changed or replaced is in the head. I'll show you in a second. But this is the hydraulic lifting keel system there. Navigation table with the air-on chair there, which I always thought was super cool. Drawers, storage, and then maps or chart storage. And then I made this piece of carbon fiber with fiberglass on top of it, so it's not conductive, to allow for all the instrument, you know, your MFDs or anything like that to be mounted there. So now I'm a little bit forward here. You can see where the diesel fuel tank goes. That's one water tank. The water tanks were fiberglassed in, so they didn't have stainless or aluminum or anything like that. This was a storage compartment. That was another water tank. Here's where the mast steps. Got that covered in plastic to keep it clean. And then here is the Italian-made hydraulic system for the keel. You can see where the chain plates bolt in there, and they do go through the top sides there. And you can see I glassed over all the holes where the long tracks used to go. So you could reinstall those or do a different head sail trimming system. Looking forward into the V-berth. There's tons of storage space in there. Obviously I have all these doors. That's where the big hatch goes, and then we've got a hanging storage locker here, nice and big on the port side, and then 2 smaller storage compartments on the starboard side. So So looking back from the V-berth, you can see how cool this boat interior is. I always envisioned finishing off and making it look really nice, warm, but also sort of like a spaceship, and you know, modern interior. So definitely one of the things that sold me on the project. Looking into the head here, this is where I thought we'd have a shower, drain pump, and then 2 hatches here for access to storage stuff inside there, maybe a black water tank. And yeah, toilet will go here. Storage hanging there. And then coming over to the port side is the main cabin. Let's get some light, there we go. And access panel to the engine here. So I was told the more access to the engine you have, the better, so I cut more access so that you can access every side of the engine. And then here we have more storage, and then a little countertop as well. If we just undo these guys, we can tilt the companionway steps back to see where the engine goes in. And we'll take a look at the engine in a minute. So most of the fairing has been done on the top sides here. It's ready for some paint, some non-skid. And the door I have not made for this, the technical compartment access, but I'll stick the camera down there so you can see how nice and roomy it is down here. Tons of room for systems, stand-up paddleboards, whatever. Access for the 2 other sides of the engine back here. And then you can just see how much room there is for storage of lines and systems or whatever else that'll fit down here. So coming down the barn steps here, you can see the stern. So it's basically like a half open stern so that you can get in and out of going swimming or whatever, and spot for the backstay to be attached there as it was originally. And I spent a lot of time fairing this, so it should be pretty good, ready to go. Here's the mold for the floor. Here's the diesel fuel tank. Here's the rod rigging, so it is all rod rigging, and the headstay is hanging on the wall covered up by this plastic sheet as well. Here's the port side, so it looks like there's a little bit of hydraulic fluid leaking there onto this keel bulb, so the hydraulic system does need checkup, maintenance, maybe new hoses, but really modern bottom shape, especially for the 90s. So I was always excited about how fast this boat is. And here you can see the original tracks that came for the head sail and stuff. Here's the starboard side of the keel bulb. Here's the stainless steel bimini and dodger. And all the canvas for that, as well as all the sails that came with the boat, have been stored in a neighbor's attic for all these years, so I'm sure they're still in very good shape. Sorry about all the dust, but those are the stanchions there and the boom bang, so those are all ready to go. Haven't really touched those. And then again, it is a mess under here, but these are the pulpits. So the stern pulpits have seats on them, so super comfortable place to sit when you're steering. And then here's what the bow looks like. That's where the forestay chain plate went through. You can put it back there, or you can reconfigure it. Kind of up to you, which is kind of the fun part about this boat project. If you have the time, know-how, and or money, you could really turn this into whatever you want. Coming outside the boat barn, you can see this, I think it's a 14-foot carbon fiber spinnaker pole, and I can include these stairs as well. And here's the mast. It's a full carbon rig with an aluminum track on the back for the roller furling mainsail, and I'll show you, obviously this tarp is kind of grody. It's been sitting out here, but kept it covered from the sun, and with a little polish and cleaning, this mast is probably worth like 40 grand on its own. And then the spreaders are under here as well. Here's the offshore version of the leisure furl boom. So basically a brand new mainsail in there. It's only been used a few times. And really nice boom. So here are the winches. I think 2 of them need a couple parts, but other than that, I got this brand new, ready to install Harken power winch along with all the buttons and system parts that you need to install that. And the hatches here, the big one, I think this is a 700. They're all Lumar. They're in great shape, but I think this 700 is the one that has the most scratching on it, but otherwise they're all super nice. All the Hella fans that came off there, these are high quality fans. There's the below deck furler. It is missing part of its cover plate, so you could put a new furler on there or reuse this one. Here are all the buttons for the cabinets and drawers. Here's all the hardware for those. Some of it's kind of rusty, so you might want to replace that. And there's the navigation table that folds up. And here is the top of the fridge. So this is a look at what the blue Corian looks like there underneath all the cardboard that I put to protect it inside the boat. Here's all the jam cleats and redirection of line hardware that came off of the deck. Bunch of winch handles, all the pumps. Various pumps and hardware that came off the boat. And then all the blocks as well. Over here we have the hydraulic backstay that was serviced. That was not cheap, but it is tested and ready to go. We got drawers, we got hatch doors, and then over here we have the 2 like full-size doors, one for the head and one for the main cabin. Here's the Yanmar 3GM30F with panel ready to be installed. It's a really good engine. There's the Raymarine autopilot arm. Here's the drawers and cabinets. They're all labeled so that you know where they go back in. There's the hydraulic lifting keel control buttons. And then 2 of these Meridian batteries are included. That charger is not included. And there's the 4-foot Jeffa steering wheel with a rack and pinion system. That's an RP400 pedestal. All that is brand new and ready to be installed with the new rudder. Some lines, some sheets, some fenders. So yeah, that's a little walkthrough of the boat project. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'm really hoping to find someone who can finish this project. It's just such a cool boat. I really wish I could have been the one to do it, but if we can find someone who can finish it and put it in the water, that would just make me so happy. So anyway, thanks so much for watching. See you next time.